Henderson, the Highlander. You're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Oh my goodness me, we are back. Welcome to the Josh's Dartistry podcast. Hello, do you remember us? We're three guys who used to pop up on your phone or on your tablet or however you listen to your podcast, and we used to talk about darts many years ago. Hi, it's episode 28, I believe, of the Josh's Dartistry podcast. Sorry, we've missed you, but it's great to be back. Let's introduce you to the team. Am I right, Mr. Josh Gorton? Good evening, Josh.
Good evening, John. How are we, mate?
I am all good. Where, in goodness gracious me, have you been for the last few months, Josh?
Indoors, really, Johnny. Indoors, working from home, keeping busy.
Lockdown's over, mate. We're allowed out now.
I know, but I'm getting withdrawal symptoms from getting out too much. I've been to the football, though. I was at the North London Derby on Sunday.
That took all of 14 seconds for you to bring up. Go on, get it off your chest. Did you enjoy that, Josh? Spanking my beloved Tottenham?
No, it was a very enjoyable game. They're always enjoyable after the game when you've won, but I don't think I can say I enjoyed it before the match. It's just you have a horrible feeling of dread in your stomach before a North London derby. Yeah,
you'll come crashing back down to earth. And I do note, Josh, and I did send you a message about this, that our under-17s comprehensively beat you yesterday 9-0. So whilst our present is terrible, the future doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, but I think our under-17s were made up of about 13-year-olds who bunked off school to play. So
no coincidence, though, that it was Monday morning that Josh suggested that we do the podcast. So.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The other voice that you can hear on my left-hand side, stats man, Mr. Neil Connor. Good evening, Neil.
Good evening, John.
How are you?
Yeah, all good, thanks.
Liverpool top of the league, are they? Should be with that squad.
For now, we've done okay, but there's a long way to go. We've picked up a few injuries, let's see how we go. I'm going on Saturday to the big game with Man City. So
you'll be there a day early, Neil.
Sorry?
You'll be there a day early.
Yeah, I will be, because it's Sunday.
Oh, God. Liverpool doing well, but obviously we all expected that. Neil, you and I, we've been talking about doing a podcast and doing a JDP for quite a while. It's been quite difficult to sort of pin Josh down, isn't it, to commit?
As I say, Arsenal started the season with 3 defeats, and his absence kind of coincided with that. No, it's been a long time, probably too long, considering that we did get online and we did some during lockdown. So, yeah. But we all have busy lives. Me and John are busy. Yep. Josh is.
Be careful.
What are you trying to say?
No, Josh is busy as well, so but it's good to be back.
So, this is the first time, gents, that we've all been in the room together to record a podcast in what I reckon is probably
18 months.
18 months, the first time we've been in a room. And it's also the first time that we are recording in my newly built studio. This is welcome to the office. Do you like it, boys? What do you reckon?
Very impressed. You put a picture up on Twitter. I've retweeted it on Twitter. If anyone wants to have a look. Very, very nice indeed.
There we go. Neil, you comfortable? You all right?
I'm very comfortable. I've got my drink. I've got a nice comfy seat. I think the football's going to be coming on in a minute.
We've got the telly. We've got the telly over there. We might even get some food a little bit later on as well.
Yep.
I have sort of tried to decorate the place. There's some posters of some of my musical icons over there, Elvis and the Beatles, and a little picture up there for you, Neil, a little White Hart Lane montage of photos from White Hart Lane. I thought you'd enjoy that particularly yourself.
Yeah,
do you like that?
Cracking, yeah. Pictures of John's idols and himself.
I believe some of your family members are at the Spurs tonight, aren't they, Neil?
Yeah, my 9-year-old son is going.
Go on, Leo.
But it's not because he wants them to win. He just wants to win. He just wants to see the stadium. So, but as I've told him, there's no trophy for a decent stadium.
Moving on. Yes, welcome back. Thanks for downloading us. Thanks for listening. It is appreciated. Sorry we've been away for so long, but life takes over. And we've always said, Josh, haven't we, on this show, we're never going to be that podcast that records twice a week, once a week, even once a month. We unfortunately our lives are busy and we can't get round the table that frequently. But when we do, Josh, it just means that because it's been a while, we've got lots to catch up on, and it should be a nice full show for everybody when we finally record one.
Indeed, John. It's always quality over quantity for us, and I'm sure there's plenty of stuff to trip me up on with Challenge Josh returning later on. So.
Yes, well, I cast my eyes towards our agenda this evening. I do see Challenge Josh on the agenda. However, before that, Josh, we're going to have a very, very, very brief, because it has gone almost sort of 3 weeks ago now, the World Cup of Darts. We'll start with a brief chat about that, won't we?
We will indeed, because our guest on the show today lifted the World Cup of Darts title a couple of weeks ago now, John Henderson.
Go on, Hendo.
I think such a popular winner. Nobody's got a bad word to say about John, so he'll be joining us to discuss the World Cup win, the reaction to it. Then we've got the Nordic Darts Masters, which took place a couple of weeks ago in Copenhagen, and then more recently the Women's Series and Gibraltar Darts Trophy. So we're getting to the business end of the season now. Lots of tournaments happening, lots more to come. Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. I have not had my eyes on the darts for the last 3 or 4 weeks, Josh. So I am looking to you as our resident expert to fill me in on all the details of those tournaments. So looking forward to that. We're also not only are we going to look backwards, of course, we're going to look forwards. Neil, we've got the World Grand Prix starting on Sunday. That's October the 3rd to the 9th, Neil. And not only are we going to be discussing the opening fixtures, but hopefully you'll be bringing us some odds as well.
Yeah, I'll be bringing you the odds. As we know, the format of this, the Grand Prix is slightly different. It's double in, double out.
But not in Dublin.
But not in Dublin this year. It's actually in Leicester. So double out, double in Dublin has moved to Leicester. So yeah, we'll have a look at the odds for that. Which is on the horizon.
And as Josh mentioned, Neil, do you have a cheeky little challenge, Josh, lined up for us this evening?
I did, and I must admit, there was a wry smile on my face as I was putting it together last night. Quite topical, and I'm looking forward to it.
Good. Well, then we'll just have a look at some other news stories that have come through in the last couple of weeks. We'll have a quick chat about that, and then we will end the show as ever with our Q&A section. Josh, have we had a couple of questions coming on social media?
Yeah, we've had a couple, John. Hopefully a couple more to come as well, so we'll be answering all of those later on in the show.
Question number 1. Where have you been for the last 3 months? I think that'll be question
number 1.
That's
a good one,
yeah. Okay, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 28 of the Josh's Dartistry podcast. As I said, thanks for downloading us. You can check us out on all our social media channels, particularly on Twitter. That's probably where Josh is most active, at Josh's Dartistry on Twitter. You can also check out the website, www.joshsdartistry.com. Been busy on there recently, Josh?
Not overly busy, but I've been trying to update as much as I can, like a few roundups of some of the recent tournaments, like the Nordic Masters, the Women's Series, so keeping it ticking over.
Excellent. So yeah, check us out on social media. Also the Facebook page. You can follow Josh on Facebook as well. Just do a search for Josh's Dartistry. You can download the podcast from all your usual podcast providers. I don't need to list them. I'm an Apple man myself. I'd get my podcast from Josh. Do you use Apple for your podcast, or are you
I'm more of a Spotify man?
You're a Spotify kind of guy.
I am.
Excellent. Neil, where'd you get your podcast from? Do you
Apple?
You're an Apple guy. Okay. What? Just out of interest, what podcasts are you listening to? I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts on Apple. I listen to Lockdown Parent.
Spurs ones then.
Oh, for goodness. Can't even have a reasoned, serious conversation with you two, can I?
You beat me to it, Neil.
Without you sticking the boot in. Lockdown Parenting, I think, has been a good one. Rob Beckett, and also Ramesh Ranganathan's one with Tom Davis. I'm enjoying. The Wolf and Owl. Neil, what are you listening to at the moment?
So there's some Liverpool podcasts.
Of course there is.
Some wrestling podcasts.
Yes. Shout out to Wrestling Soup, by the way, my favourite wrestling podcast.
And back issues of the Josh's Dartistry podcast.
Yeah, Josh, anything particularly like you're listening to at the moment, podcast wise?
Not really. A few Arsenal podcasts, which are quite interesting ones. Yeah, quite a lot of tactical sort of stuff. That I just listen to, like fan forums. But there's a couple that are really kind of breaking down the tactical side of the game, which I'm quite interested
Arsenal
in.
Fan TV, is it?
Not a massive Arsenal Fan TV.
Not going to give a shout out to the Sky Sports Darts podcast, your colleagues over at Sky.
Well, I didn't want to upset you, John, and start promoting the competition, but no. Yeah, the guys there, they do some very good stuff there. I was writing up a couple of articles from it the other day. Daryl Gurney, I think, was on the show, which I wrote up recently. So, yeah, That's a good one as well.
Shout out to anyone who's spending the time and effort to produce a podcast. It's not easy work, as we've discovered time and time again. So shout out to all the podcast and content creators out there. Yes, check us out online. Thank you very much. Here we go. Episode number 28 of the Josh's Dartistry podcast. You're listening to the Josh's Dartistry podcast. Don't forget you can check us out on Facebook, the Josh's Dartistry page. You can also follow us on Twitter at Josh's Dartistry. And you can also go to our website, www.joshisdartistry.com, for all the latest news, blogs and information on the world of darts. Don't forget you can also call us and leave us a message on our voicemail box. That's 07739 738 329. That's 07739 738 329. Call our voicemail box, leave us a message, leave us a question, and we may play it on the show. Now back to the show.
Hi, I'm Gavin Price, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Okay, Josh, let's delve into it straight away. World Cup of Darts happened between the 9th and 12th of September. And, popular winners in Scotland.
Yeah, popular winners, and I'd have to say maybe surprise winners as well. I think Scotland were among the favourites before the tournament because we thought Peter Wright and Gary Anderson would be flying the flag. They, of course, won the title for Scotland in 2019, but Gary decided not to compete in Germany. He was replaced by John Henderson. And yeah, I mean, they were quite unfancied. Obviously, Peter Wright came into it on great form, having won the World Match Play, world number 2. But Big Hendo's not had the greatest 18 months, but fair play to him. He formed a fantastic partnership with Peter Wright, leading the way in a large sense in terms of the pairs matches between the sides. And on the final day, Scotland, they started off by beating Netherlands, Michael van Gerwen and Dirk van Duijvenbode. They then knocked out the defending champions Wales, Johnny Clayton and Gerwin Price leading Wales, who were the big favourites.
Not many people were tipping outside of Wales, I don't think.
No, I mean, obviously, you look at Gerwin Price, the world champion, the world number 1. Johnny Clayton's been a revelation in 2021. As we said, defending champions as well. I think they were the favourites in many people's eyes. But in the semis, they didn't quite click. And then in the final, they played Austria, the unseeded Austria, who were led by Mensur Suljovic, who we haven't seen much of in 2021, but Mensur returned and did a really good job, and Roby John Rodriguez as well, who's had a really solid 2021. They were a great combination, and they led Austria to their first ever World Cup, but they just came up short.
Talk to me about England. Obviously, I'm known for my support of James Wade. He obviously paired up with Chizzy. How did the English boys get on, Josh?
They got to the semis. They did a decent job, really. I mean, Wade competed in the inaugural World Cup of Darts with Phil Taylor back in 2010. This is his first appearance since then. Yeah. I think on paper, I thought it'd be quite a good partnership because you've got Wade, who's such a clinical finisher, and you've got Chizzy, who's one of the best scorers in the game. So I thought as a pair in the pairs matches, they'd really come alive. It didn't quite happen. They were a little bit scrappy in the early stages, but they beat Germany in the quarters easily. I thought they then might go on and get to the final, but fair play Austria in the semis. Suljovic averaged about 106 to beat Wade, and Roby John did a real job on Chizzy in a high quality game. So in fairness to the English lads, Wade and Chizzy, they didn't do a lot wrong.
No, fair play to them. Good performance. Talk to me about how MVG and Van Duijvenbode, how did they dovetail together?
Again, it's a difficult one. I mean, they had a fairly comfortable route to the quarterfinals. I think we all were unsure how they'd do because obviously it's highly documented that Van Gerwen has not had the best of seasons so far. Sure. Van Duijvenbode has come off his form a little bit. He had a fantastic start to 2021, was in really prolific form on the Pro Tour, not been at his best over the last couple of months. And really, it was missed doubles that cost him in the game against Scotland. Van Gerwen beat Henderson in the singles. Wright did a number on Van Duijvenbode, so it went to the pairs. And Netherlands should have won, really. They had the chances, but Van Gerwen missed a lot of darts at double. So did Dirk. And Big Hendo did the job in the last leg decider and knocked him out in the quarters. So it's quite interesting because England haven't won a World Cup since Phil Taylor retired. Yeah. And the Dutch have struggled since Barney. They haven't won one without Barney. So those two legends have really held the English and the Dutch teams together.
Any other teams, Josh, that stood out for you during that tournament?
Well, obviously Scotland are the highlights. Austria, I think, were the team of the tournament. Apart from the final, I thought they were superb, Mensur and Roby John. Yeah. So I'd say Austria because, I mean, Mensa had barely played coming into it. Roby John hasn't got a tour card. So for them to get there is a fantastic achievement.
Was there much? I hear this conversation break out on social media quite a lot during the World Cup of Darts, Josh, when people talk about the format. They don't love so much the singles game. Sometimes they prefer the doubles and the team element. Much chat about that this time around this year?
There was quite a lot of chat. I think on the second day, out of all the last 16 games, only 2 went to the pairs deciders because you've got the top players are very comfortable playing singles games and they're playing awfully lesser opponents, and usually it was 2 convincing wins in the singles. So I think we all want to see every single match have some form of doubles game, whether it's in between the singles or whether it's purely doubles. But it's only a 4-day event at the moment, so it's very difficult logistically for them to be able to extend that format. So I think to be purely doubles, it would need to be extended over to maybe a week, and you'd have a group stage or something. But there's a lot of chat, and I hope in the future, maybe next year, that there is more doubles element, because that's where you get the most drama and the most entertainment, I think.
Sure. Neil, 2 questions. Did you manage to catch any of the World Cup of Darts? And secondly, the format, mess with it or leave it alone?
I did manage to see some of it. I was quite intrigued by it, to be honest, because it probably didn't play out as people were expecting. And I think Josh has already spoken about Austria. They were highly entertaining. And Mensa, he was gesturing and walking
crawling across
the stage. It was great to watch. So, saw a bit, enjoyed it. In terms of the format, I've always said on previous episodes that I'm a fan of different formats. So I'd like to see the doubles matches, because I think it just adds an extra element. You know, we're all used to straightforward 501 singles games, either legs or sets. So adding the element of doubles, I think it just adds a bit of variation and something a bit different.
Okay, there we go. Many congratulations to John Henderson and Peter Wright on achieving Scotland's second World Cup win. When was their first one, Josh? And who were the pair in then?
It was 2019, so not long ago, and it was Peter Wright and Gary Anderson.
Thanks, John. That was one of the questions.
Oh well, you can scrub that off a challenge, Josh, can't you?
That's a shame. I got one then.
As I said, many congratulations to Scotland, and we look forward to them defending their title.
Dartistry.
Right, Josh, fresh off the back of our chat regarding the World Cup of Darts, you managed to catch up with one half of the winning team.
I did, yeah. Big John, I mean, his first PDC major win. It was a dream few days for him. He was in really good spirits, reflecting on the tournament win and what it could do for his career, because, as I said, he has had a tough 18 months. So great to speak to John last week.
Right, guys, I'm delighted here to be joined by the newly crowned World Cup of Darts champion, John Henderson. John, how are you, mate?
Very well, Josh, thanks, yeah.
It's been just over a week now, John, since you've been crowned the World Cup champion. Has it sunk in yet?
To be quite honest, I don't think it has, no. It's just, I'm still getting all the goodwill, which is on social media. People come up in the street and everything, but no, I don't think it is sunk in. I think once I go to Gibraltar this week, from my fellow professionals, they're all telling me well done and all that. Maybe that's when I'll come to sink in, but at the moment, I'm just taking it all in at the moment.
Can you just describe what it meant to you, not only winning your first PDC title, but also leading Scotland to a major title? That must have made it feel extra special.
Oh, definitely. I think if you represent your country in any sport, it's something special, but to actually going and win it was just a dream come true for me. Obviously, about 2 weeks ago, I wasn't even in the World Cup, and obviously with Gary pulling out, enables me to get that opportunity again, and luckily enough, I grabbed it with both hands, but it was absolutely... When Peter had that winning double, there's no words that can describe how I was feeling. It was just absolutely relief and just overwhelmed. It was just fantastic.
What was it like in the back room, John? Because obviously you were having to probably prepare for that game against Roby John Rodriguez if Peter had lost, but it must have been surreal because you're having to try and prepare for a match, but also just begging Peter to get the win.
Well, definitely, because I think if you looked at the four of us, I think out of the four of us, Peter looked and we're both all coming down with fatigue and a bit tired, but Peter's used to the long Sunday, so he looked the fresher. So when he was going into the game against Manchester, I was quite confident that he was going to take it out, and obviously I've still got to prepare for the game just in case. And when Peter went 3-1 up, I felt as though that's it all done, so I kind of put the darts down and kind of just watched, and obviously Mensa doing what Mensa does, and get it back to 3-2, then 3-all, and I'm thinking, oh my God, don't make me go up there, Peter. I'll kill you if you. But no, Peter Wright, being Peter Wright, he got us over the line, and I didn't have to go and play the last game, so I was quite happy about that. But no, just relieved.
And you've had some fantastic moments in your career, John. You've had the run to the World Grand Prix semis a few years ago, that famous night in Aberdeen in the Premier League, but this must be the highlight of your darting life.
Oh, definitely. As I say, that's my first PDC title. Everybody normally wins a floor title and then going to win a major. How can I just doing things the other way about like so? But no, I think it was just another kind of relief to get that first PDC title. That's a monkey off my back. Been close and so many times. I've been getting to finals, semi-finals, but to finally get that first title, it's so pleasing. And as I said, a monkey off my back. So hopefully it's the start of many more.
What's the reaction been like back home? I mean, I've seen some clips on social media of you receiving a brilliant welcome when you drove home with the title. I mean, that must have been very special.
Yes, the welcome at home I got on Tuesday was absolutely fantastic. The social media went off the scale. I got about 1,000 text messages or something like that. It was just unreal. And then I was driving into the Huntly and the line both sides of the street, and then a masses are gathering at the actual square in Huntly. The people greeted me there, and I got, what a welcome home. Just a hero's welcome, actually, but it was absolutely fantastic. Probably something I'll never experience again, but it was just fantastic.
You obviously played with Robert Thornton last year, John, and I think speaking to the PDC before the start of the tournament, you said you felt a little bit of pressure playing with Peter Wright, with him being the world number 2, but it didn't seem to be a burden for you. You seemed to thrive on playing with Peter.
Yeah, last year, I think playing with Robert last year actually gave me a wee bit of experience. I played in the World Cup. Obviously, last year I was going into it unknown. I didn't know what to expect. How to back playing pairs, something I had done for years. But so I actually used that as quite a good experience for this year. But the experience of Peter Wright, and he was actually brilliant with me. And he sat down and we talked a bit tactics before every game, and he was really. And he actually played a right good skipper's role, if I'm being honest. He looked after me. And there was a bit of pressure, obviously, playing with the world number 2, the current match play champion. So, I didn't want to let myself down. I didn't want to let Peter down, but I didn't want to let country down. But no, I thought I handled myself pretty well. But no, I think Peter Wright fairly helped me to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you described Peter as being a bit of a mentor throughout the tournament, but was it sort of technical advice on your game he was giving you, or was it more just the mental side and how to approach the tournament?
I think it was just me, how to approach games. Obviously, we talked about who was going to try and play fast, and we both came up with the same ideas that I would play fast against. Obviously, we're thinking Michael, Christoph, and Geze would go fast. So, and I was in a position I was so confident of playing them. Obviously, I got the win against Christoph and Geze and lost to Michael, but that's the confidence Peter was giving me to go and play these guys. And obviously, Peter come up and played the lesser players and took care of them. So it was a good team effort.
Absolutely, and you hit the winning doubles in the pairs deciders against Netherlands, Wales and Austria on finals day, and as you mentioned there, you beat Geze in the singles, the world number 1. So how much confidence does that give you going forward that you're able to produce the goods under pressure?
Well, if I can't take anything from that, I'll never take anything. So I've got to use it as a springboard for the rest of the season, as I say, kickstart my season, and hopefully I get into the remaining TV events for the remainder of the season.
I mean, it has been, before the World Cup, it has been quite a difficult 18 months for you. What do you put that down to, John? Is it just maybe a lack of confidence, and has the schedule in terms of, we're used to having tournaments every weekend, aren't we, on the Pro Tour? Do you think that the lack of maybe match practice has affected you a little bit?
Yeah, I think the stop-start has to help. If we were playing like the introduced to 4 or 5 days series, I was playing well in the last couple of days. The first 3 I seemed to play rubbish. Then my game started to come, and then obviously, just as I'm getting going, with another 6 or 7, 8 weeks away from the next Pro Tour, so I just put in the hours. I practiced more than I've ever done this last 18 months. But I think it maybe is down to a bit of confidence, lack of match, because the online stuff wasn't really for me. I didn't feel comfortable playing in it. So I do better do the lack of match play, yeah.
And we saw last year, I mean, I'm sure you've heard this comparison a lot, but Johnny Clayton last year at the World Cup won it alongside Gerwyn Price, and since then he's won 2 majors. He's a different player. Do you believe this World Cup win can spark a bit of a resurgence and get you back to the level you were maybe 2 or 3 years ago?
Well, that's the plan. Like, I'm not saying I'm not going to say I'm going to go and do what John has done, but John has just showed that it can be done, and I feel I've got the game to go further in this sport, and that's my plan, just to play well, get into as many TV events, and as I say, the game's there, the confidence is certainly there, so let's hopefully I can just go on for here and play well.
And if you're going to find your form back, which you certainly did at the World Cup, this is the perfect time to do it, isn't it? We're approaching the business end of the year now. As you said, a lot of TV events coming up, a few more pro tours. So if you're going to find some form, now's the time to do it.
Definitely. And you're always best finding your form at the second half of the season, because it's the busy times, and obviously everything leads to the big one at the World. So if you get to find the form going into that, then you'll be happy enough. But no, I'm confident. I'm playing well. I'm looking forward to this weekend. Hopefully I can just continue for last week.
And have you set yourself any targets for the remainder of the year? Because, I mean, you're currently 46th in the world, and I think a lot of people would say you're a far better player than that. So is that the aim, to move up the PDC Order of Merit and qualify for the Worlds, of course?
Aye, definitely. I think my main aim just now is just concentrating getting into that World. I think the rankings will take care of themselves. Obviously, if I get into as many TV events, obviously that'll help the ranking as well. But I think just get this year over and done. We qualify for the Worlds and we'll start afresh next year. Hopefully we'll get back to some sort of normality and I'll get some more consistency about my game. But that's the aim anyway.
And just finally, I'm not sure if you saw it, John, but I think Gary Anderson spoke to the media this week and he said he would step aside next year in terms of the World Cup because he said you can't change a winning team. He'd want to see you and Peter defend the title. So how determined are you to make sure that you're next in line on the Order of Merit to go back and try and retain your title for Scotland?
Oh, I never heard his interview, but no, it's nice of him to say so, but obviously I'd love to get in there in my own merit. Obviously with the World Cup last year, the Premier League, it's all been down to Gary, participating, so I've got him to thank for that, but I know, if Gary's above me in the rankings, he deserves to be there, and gives him an opportunity to go back and do what they did 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, retaining it. So for the next time we both play, we'll both be retaining it. So we're both in the same position. But no, nice for Gary to say that as well. But if I'm not in the rankings, I'm not shouldn't be there. So I've got to work my way up to that rankings and get my place in my own merit.
No, it's very good of you to say, John. But it was fantastic to see you play so well and lift that World Cup title. And all the very best for the rest of the year.
I appreciate that, Josh. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Lovely. Cheers, John. Take care, mate.
See you when it's pal.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Josh's chat with World Cup winner, no less. Not many people can say that. World Cup winner, John Henderson. Josh sounded in good form there. Sounded really pleased, didn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, winning your first PDC title is a special achievement, but I think doing it for your country as well, it just makes it even more special. And you could see the emotion on stage with Peter and John after the game. It made it even more special, and the homecoming he received back in Huntly was just fantastic to see. So I'm so pleased for John. I really hope this can spark a turnaround in his career now.
Neil, John Henderson fan you must be, surely. I don't know anyone who isn't, really.
No, I've always enjoyed watching his games, and I think his 2 appearances as a challenger or contender in the Premier League, particularly the first one, was memorable. And he seems to be someone that can raise his game for the occasion, and I think he dovetailed very nicely with Peter Wright at the World Cup. So maybe he will use it as the catalyst now to kick on and experience some more success in his career, because I think he's slipped to number 42 or
46 it might even be,
46 in the rankings. So hopefully this is the catalyst for some improved form for John.
Yeah, I'm pleased for John. Obviously, a very, very talented darts player, Josh. But my worry was, and I mean this very respectfully to John, my worry was that whenever anyone talks about John and the highlights of his career so far, they spoke about the fantastic walk-on that he had in the Premier League when he was a contender or a challenger, and But it was my worry that whenever we spoke about John's career, that's all we ever seemed to speak about as a highlight, and a walk-on cannot or should not be the highlight of your career. So for him to finally, bag a major PDC title, I'm over the moon for him, and I hope that's a better reflection of his career going forward.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I mean, Neil mentioned it there. We have seen him rise to the occasion before. I mean, he got to the World Grand Prix semis in 2017, and throughout that World Cup win, he was fantastic in the pressure moments. He won the pairs deciders against Netherlands, Wales, and Austria, and he beat Gerwyn Price in the singles. So he's proven he can do it. Now it's about doing it consistently.
Okay, well, thank you to John Henderson for taking the time to speak to Josh. You're always welcome on the Josh's Dartistry podcast, and we look forward to your continued success.
This is Nathan Aspinall, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
I feel happy, won't you call me on the telephone? In the morning, won't you call me on the telephone?
Call the boys on 07739 738 329. That's 07739 738 329 and leave them a message.
Okay, Josh, you were going to give us an update on everything that's been going on in the world of darts. We have had 2 or 3 tournaments taking place recently.
Yeah, we have indeed. And just shortly after the World Cup of Darts, we had the Nordic Darts Masters taking place in Copenhagen, the first World Series event of 2021. And we saw Michael van Gerwen, can you believe this, saying this in September, win his first title of 2021. And he did so, beating Fallon Sherrock in the final. Now, Fallon, as we know, doesn't have a PDC Tour card, but she received a wildcard invitation because she was due to compete in the World Series last year. And of course, all those events in America and Down Under were cancelled. So Fallon made the most of her invitation. She won her first round very comfortably against the host nation qualifier. She then profited from a withdrawal from Gerwyn Price.
Yep.
He had tennis elbow, so he pulled out the quarterfinals.
Is that a concern? Just parking that for a second. Is that a concern going forward for Gerwyn Price and his fans?
Oh, I wouldn't say so, purely because a week later he's gone and won in Gibraltar, which we'll cover later on.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a lot of darts to be played over the coming months, a lot of major tournaments. So I can understand why he pulled out. It's not a ranking event, the World Series, and as much as you want to win every tournament you play in, if you're going to prioritise, you have to prioritise the ranking events, the major events. So I understand why he pulled out, but I wouldn't be too concerned if I was a Gerwyn Price fan.
I think tennis elbow is the sort of thing that just doesn't go away. So, having a few days off, I don't think it will disappear. I think he's going to have to manage it throughout the period because...
He had a cortisone injection, I think, just before flying to Gibraltar, so whether he's going to manage it
that would definitely make a difference because having had tennis elbow, it doesn't go away with over a few days of having treatment, but a cortisone would make a difference.
Do you play tennis, Neil?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Blimey. When did you last play tennis?
Monday.
Played Monday?
Yeah.
Against this man here, or?
Yeah, I did. It was one set all.
One set, it was a draw.
But I am nearly double his age.
Was it singles or doubles?
It was 2v1.
2v1. Who was the two?
Drazy.
You and Drazy v Dosh?
Yeah.
Wow.
But we play in a doubles court and he plays in a singles court.
Right.
So.
Okay. How do you feel about that 2-on-1, Josh? It's a bit unfair, isn't it?
Well, especially when Drady calls out every shot he hits just as I'm about to... He's the women have, the grunting when they're about... Well, Drady just calls out and says, sorry, or oh dear, I'm about to hit it. But
there's a fair amount of gamesmanship. Anyway, back to Gerwyn Price.
Take us back to the Nordic Darts Masters, Josh.
Yeah, so Fallon Sherrock, as I said earlier, beat a host nation qualifier the opening round, then got a bye through to the semi-finals, and she came from 8-2 down to defeat Dimitri van den Berg 11-10 in an extraordinary semi-final.
Yeah.
And she looked like she was going to win the title at one point. She was 6-3 up on
She had
Michael.
him seriously under pressure, didn't she?
She did. 6-3 up, averaging 103. And Michael was, under real pressure. But credit to him, his class shone through at the end. And she wasn't quite able to sustain that 103 average. But she still played brilliantly well. But yeah, Michael came out on top 11-7. And an important win for him. Let's be honest. It wasn't the toughest route on paper. He survived a scare in the opening round. He beat Darius Labanauskas 6-5 from 5-4 down. Cruised past Madars Razma in the second round and then won in a really good game against Johnny Clayton. Both averaged around about 102 in that one. But he didn't beat a top 10 player en route to the title, so you could say it wasn't the toughest route. But for his confidence, it could be massive, and it's a weight off his shoulders because I think every tournament he was going into, Michael, the same old sort of headline was dominating it. Is he going to win the title? Is he going to break his duck? Well, now that conversation's done, he can look forward now to the rest of the year.
Bit of a monkey off of his back, Neil, and probably expect to see him kick on from there, yeah?
You would do, and I think we're not used to seeing him have these barren spells where he doesn't pick up a trophy. So it'll be interesting because he's gone from being a prolific winner, and it's a great habit to have where you have that knack of winning. When you lose it, it can be difficult to get back. So let's see whether this is a one-off or whether he's going to return to his top levels.
Okay, Josh, let's. I'm going to do things in slightly different order to the running order you've given us. Let's go in chronological because the Gibraltar Darts Trophy started on the 24th and the PDC Women's Series was on the 25th. So, and we've just mentioned Gerwyn Price, obviously, coming up to win that tournament. So yeah, talk to me about the Gibraltar Darts Trophy.
Well, it was the second and last European Tour event of 2021. Gerwyn Price won last month's event in Hungary, and he did the double in Gibraltar, and he did it in comprehensive fashion as well, defeating Mensur Suljovic 8-0 in the final with a 106 average. A fantastic display from Gerwyn Price. But also, we mentioned Mensur in the World Cup of Darts getting to the final. It's really good to see him getting back on track and back amongst it, because he was contemplating retirement, he said. In his interview after the World Cup, he said he thought he had no future in the sport. He had a lot of issues with tendonitis, I think, in his shoulder. So credit to Mensur. But yeah, Gerwyn Price, an outstanding tournament, and the highlight being a win against Michael van Gerwen in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, squeaked past him. 6-5, tight game, that one.
Yeah, very good game. Michael van Gerwen averaged 105, so credit to him. But Gerwyn won in the last leg decider, and I think a dart statistician, Carl Fletcher, who runs a website called Darts Tracker, he put up a stat. I think Gerwyn's won 14 of his 17 last leg deciders in 2021. So it's just proof that he's rising to the occasion in the big moments. So that's a big win for Gerwyn Price, beating Michael en route to the title before a big major as well. Psychologically, I think that gives him a big boost going into the Grand Prix.
And was there any? Did he show any signs of pain on stage with the tennis elbow, or did he seem to be okay?
Not at all. His performance was really consistent. I think he had 4 ton-plus averages, and he seemed, pain-free. But as I mentioned, he had the cortisone injection.
Yeah, that would take the pain away. But
just before flying to Gibraltar. But it's something to monitor over the coming months, because there's going to be a lot of darts to be played, and he's going to want to be at his best for the big events, the Grand Slam, and obviously the World's coming up, trying to defend his title. So potentially a concern, but let's hope he's firing on all cylinders there.
And Neil, poor old Mensur, we know what a great player he is, but nobody wants to get whitewashed in a final. But 8-0, that's pretty comprehensive, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he'll be disappointed because we hadn't seen a lot of him, and he's kind of come back and bounced back onto the scene with his performance at the World Cup of Darts, and showed some good form to get into the final. But as you say, no one wants to be whitewashed, and you just hope that it doesn't damage his confidence. As I say, we've seen something of a resurgence from him, so not good for him, but hopefully he'll brush it off and continue to play as well as he had done over those couple of tournaments.
Okay, yes, congratulations to Gerwyn Price on that win. Josh, let's wrap it up with the PDC Women's Series, which took place on the 25th and 26th of September.
Yep, so an expanded women's series this year with 12 events taking place. We were due to have one in Germany in August, but that got cancelled due to a lack of entries, which was a little bit disappointing. But we haven't lost out on any events because they've been added now to the UK ones. So we had 2 days of action in Milton Keynes, Saturday and Sunday, 3 events on each day. Over 70 women entered, which was really good, really positive, I think, considering there wasn't many European entries due to obviously the ongoing pandemic.
Yeah.
But it was shared, really, the titles between Lisa Ashton and Fallon Sherritt, the 2 top players really in the women's game. Fallon just missed out last year in the women's series to Dita Hedman. She was denied, I think, by 2 legs on an Ali Pali spot, and Lisa and Dita got there. But Lisa and Fallon are in pole position now to qualify for the World Championship, because we've got 2 spots on offer at Ali Pali for the top 2 on the order of merit after the 12 events. But in terms of the weekends in Milton Keynes and Barnsley, whoever finishes top overall after the 6 events each weekend gets a Grand Slam spot. So Fallon just nicked a Grand Slam spot at the expense of Lisa Ashton by winning the 6th and final event. They were jostling for positions all weekend because Lisa won the first event. Fallon won events 2 and 3 on Saturday. Lisa then beat Fallon in the final, events 4 and 5. Fallon then beat Lisa in the final in event 6. So she, I think, got it by 350 quid. So we've got Fallon at the Grand Slam and also probably at the World Championship now. So the only disappointing thing I would say is they're so far ahead of the rest.
I was going to say that. I was just looking at your notes. With Lisa winning events 1, 4 and 5 and Fallon 2, 3 and 6. Is it a worry that, it seems silly to be saying this, really, because, without being disrespectful again, ladies darts was kind of in the background a few years ago, although there's always been some fantastic players, but now they are coming to the forefront. We're talking about PDC tour cards, entries into, Ali Pali and this, that and the other. So I don't know, maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself and should just appreciate what we've got at the moment. But I think it's a little bit worrying that these 2 are so dominant and nobody else seems to be coming through. We know there's some great female players on the periphery. You know, some of the great names. Dieter Hedman, you know, one that you've mentioned there, Josh. But I don't know. Are you as worried about it as I am?
Well, yeah, because Dieter Hedman came third overall on the weekend. But if you look at Lisa Ashton, I think she's 50 now. Dieter Hedman's early 60s, I think 61 now. So you're looking, you know, in 5-10 years' time, if Lisa Ashton and Dieter Hedman have packed up, Fallon Sherrock, you know, she needs competition. She has got it. Obviously, you've still got Anastasia Dobromislova. In fairness, Mikuru Suzuki, I thought would be up there this weekend. She came 9th overall on the Order of Merit, but I spoke to a few people who were there, and they said she was severely jet-lagged because she'd gone from Japan and she was absolutely exhausted by the end. That's why we didn't see the best of her. So there are players coming through.
Trina Gulliver, I was going to mention,
Yeah, she's had a struggles over the last 18 months, but it was really good to see her back playing and playing to a good standard. Corinne Hammond, she was close last year. She also had another decent weekend. We had Joanne Locke, who's a player from Suffolk, I believe, who did really well, got to 2 semi-finals on Saturday. We've got, we mentioned Ms. Kuru, didn't we? Laura Turner, some good performances. So there's a lot of players there who are capable, but we do really need to see them raise their game because Fallon and Lisa are a level above, and I think Fallon only lost to Lisa Ashton. The 3 games she lost were all to Lisa, so no one else beat Fallon Sherrock this weekend. So they're head and shoulders above the rest right now.
Is Bo Greaves the next great hope?
I think she has been, but she wasn't entered in Milton Keynes this weekend. I believe she's been struggling a little bit with Dartistry, someone mentioned to me, which is a shame. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard. So she wasn't in attendance in Milton Keynes, but hopefully we can see her in Barnsley because so she's got a fantastic future ahead of her if she can, you know, overcome those struggles.
Neil, is it a legitimate concern what I just mentioned to Josh there? I think back to some of the golden generations of darts, Phil Taylor's domination, Michael van Gerwen's domination. Should we be concerned over a Lisa Ashton / Fallon Sherrock domination as well, or is it not an issue? I
think I'd be more concerned if it was one player that was dominating, because I think, you know, the risk there is that people start to lose interest if the same person wins non-stop. I think when you've got 2 players at the top of the game, and you know they're tussling for the number 1 and number 2 spots, it's entertaining. So from an entertainment perspective, I don't think it's a problem because you don't have that one person dominating. The other thing I would expect is that their levels, which are raising all the time, and we saw that with Fallon's performance, you know, against Michael van Gerwen, is that it will drag other players to new levels as well. So I don't think it's a bad thing. As I say, if it was one person, maybe. If it's 2, it's good. And I believe that they will, you know, drag everybody else with them. And the standards of those players that are just below them at the moment will move forwards with them.
Josh, when does the women's series conclude?
So we've got another weekend of action next month in Barnsley. So 6 more events, 3 on the Saturday, 3 on the Sunday. And that'll determine who gets the second Grand Slam spot and, of course, the 2 World Championship spots. But it's looking all the world like it's going to be Fallon and Lisa at Ali Pali this year.
Okay, well, we look forward to that. Let's stop looking backwards now, Josh. Let's look forward. World Grand Prix is almost upon us. October the 3rd to October the 9th, as Neil alluded to at the start of the show. Double in, double out in Leicester, as opposed to Dublin. But the World Grand Prix always a favourite of darts fans, isn't it, Josh? And plenty to look forward to across the week.
As Neil mentioned earlier, I think it's always great to see tournaments with variety. I always enjoy the set play element. The World Championship and the World Grand Prix offers that. And of course the Grand Prix offers the double start format, and that really does test a player's ability but also mental fortitude, I think, because it's very difficult. If you start off and you can't pin that starting double with your first 3 darts, it sets a bit of a precedent and it can be difficult to get out of it. And we've seen it's such a short format, the opening round, first to 2 sets, it can be very tough for players. So it really is a test, both, like I say, in terms of ability and mentality. So I'm looking forward to it. We've got Gerwyn Price, defending champion, but he's got a really tough opener against Michael Smith, who we know is so capable. Peter Wright, he'll be up there. He's in fantastic form, and he's got Rob Cross. So that's an incredible first round game. You know, 2 Premier League players this year. And Michael van Gerwen, you can never write him off. He's coming off the back of that win in Copenhagen, so he could be full of confidence and looking to send out a statement ahead of the rest of the season.
And only 8 seeds, Josh, as you mentioned to me before the show begins, as opposed to the normal 16.
Exactly that, and that opens up a lot more juicier games. I mean, I'm looking at the third quarter. I think I said this on Twitter when the draw was made, but the third quarter of the draw is just absolutely brutal. You've got Peter Wright against Rob Cross. Mm-hmm. The winner of that will play Aspinall or Christoph Ratajski. And then you've got Jose de Souza against Glenn Durrant. And now the winner of that will play the winner of Callum Ridds against Johnny Clayton. So only one of those 8 players are going to come through that quarter. I mean, it's brutal. The quality is... Everywhere you look, there's fantastic quality. So it should be a really good event.
You mentioned there Jose de Sousa versus Glenn Durrant. What sort of form is Glenn in at the moment? Still struggling a little bit?
We haven't seen a lot of him for the last couple of months because he hasn't been in the World Series events and he didn't qualify for the European Tour. But it has been a really, really tough period for Glenn. Yeah. I was hoping after the Premier League he'd be able to kind of bounce back, but the World Match Play didn't go to plan for him. As I mentioned, he struggled on the Pro Tour, but he is one of the best double hitters in the world, or he has been over the last 2 years. That's been instrumental in his success. So I'm hoping that this sort of tournament could inspire a bit of a revival. But he's got a really tough game against Jose, and if Jose's pinning that double tops, we know what he can do in the scoring department. So that could be a really tough assignment for Glenn.
Mouth-watering second quarter of the draw there for me, Josh. Wadey seeded 4th. My favourite, taking on Damon Heta, and the winner of that will play either Bunting or Gurney. And you've also got Dimitri, Dancing Dimitri there, taking on Ryan Searle, and Dirk van Duijvenbode against Luke Humphries. So, as you say, Josh, everywhere you look, there's talent, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned James Wade there, a former winner here. Wade on tops and tens is just so deadly, and he's always a major threat, although he hasn't got the best record at the Grand Prix over recent years. Bunting there, World Championship semi-finalist. Gurney won this event in 2017, so that's an extremely strong section. And in terms of Luke Humphries against Van Duijvenbode, I make Humphries favourite for that. He's had a remarkable year, Humphries. Made so many finals on the Pro Tour, UK Open finalist. Dirk made the final here 12 months ago. This was this is where he made his emergence, really, his breakthrough, Dirk. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares. So, as you said, quality everywhere you look. And we haven't even really mentioned, obviously Gerwyn Price we spoke about earlier, but we haven't really mentioned Gary Anderson in the bottom quarter of the draw, who could play Michael van Gerwen in the quarterfinals. That could be a very special game.
Neil, any standout games for you there at the Wet the Whistle?
Yeah, I think there's plenty. I think Gerwyn Price versus Michael Smith could be quite an explosive game. Always enjoy watching Stephen Bunting, so him against Gurney. And also Peter Wright, Rob Cross could be an interesting one.
Okay, with that in mind, Neil, it's time to find some value for money. This is What Are the Odds?
Cool, what are the odds?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to hand you over to a resident odds checker, Mr. Neil Connor.
Thank you, John. So let's look ahead with Sky Bet at the World Grand Prix starting this Sunday. Josh, where's your money?
Probably safely tucked in his wallet like it normally is.
Rude. I'm going to be quite boring, really. I can't see the winner coming outside of the top 3, but I do make Price and Wright. I think they're a level above. Even Van Gerwen. I still think Van Gerwen's Dublin's a little bit unpredictable. I think it'll be a Price against Peter Wright final, 1 and 2. So,
for the first time, I believe, in the show's history...
Here we go.
Michael van Gerwen is not the favourite.
Oh my goodness gracious. 28 episodes that's taken.
I'm pretty sure that's probably the case. So Gerwyn Price is the outright favourite at 10-3, 100-30, Burlington Bertie. Michael van Gerwen 11-2, massive price, 5.5-1 on Michael. As I say, go back 2-3 years and he was odds on to win nearly every tournament that he played in. So 11-2, a big price. And then Peter Wright, you mentioned, Josh, 6-1. Jose de Sousa, if he can get going, get that rhythm going, hit that double top, 12-1. Dimitri van den Berg, 14-1. Premier League champion, Johnny Clayton, 18-1. And Gary Anderson, you mentioned, Josh, 22-1. James Wade, John's favourite, 25-1.
Come on, James.
Alongside Nathan Aspinall.
Good value, James. I mean, he's not got the worst quarter in the world, and
yeah,
he's such a good double hitter. He's won it twice before, I believe, so you'd be foolish to write him off. Looking a bit further down, last year's beaten finalist, Dirk van Duijvenbode, 66-1, so quite a big price for Dirk. And then... I think he'll lose, though, Dirk, first round. I think Humphries is a really good outside bet because he's playing superbly well.
Now Josh has said that he'll lose that. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you put your money on Dirk van Duijvenbode.
Sorry, Luke.
You know what Josh's predictions are like.
So you mentioned Luke Humphries, 40-1. Decent price for Luke. Offers a bit of value. Glenn Durrant, 300-1. Who would have thought?
That is a madness.
Who would have thought? Premier League winner from 2020?
Yeah, just last October, just under 12 months ago.
300-1. That seems like a massive price to me. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but
It's maybe a reflection though that he's got Jose first round and then probably Johnny Clayton if he were to win that.
It's still a massive price.
Oh, it is. I mean, if he finds his form, I mean, as I've said, he's a good double hitter. His double 16, he's one of the best in the world, or he was. I think his double 16 hitting in the last 2 years has rivaled Wade's tops and tens.
Yeah.
If he can get that going, he's got every chance. But on the evidence of what we've seen over the last 6 months, you wouldn't give him much of a chance.
You wouldn't be backing it, but the size of that price, I think, does surprise me a little bit. So your final, you predicted at Peter Wright versus Gerwin Price. You get a very healthy 10-1 on that.
There you go.
Interesting. And I'm predicting Peter Wright to lift the title for the very first time. That is my prediction.
6-1, if you fancy that.
Not bad.
Neil, you've already given me the odds for James Wade, seeded 4th. If you were going to ask me... Oh, go on, ask me for an outsider. Ask me for an outsider. Go on.
Do you have any idea of an outsider?
I do.
John?
I would fancy Diamond White, Ian White, as a little outside tip.
50-1 if you fancy Ian White.
It's got to be worth a quid of anyone's money, isn't it?
Very capable.
When I heard the D, I thought you were going to say Darius Labanauskas just to wind me up.
200-1 Darius has played reasonably well of late, I believe.
Good player.
At least he's in the competition. Fair play. Got to be in it to win it, Josh.
But Ian White, 50-1.
Moving on.
Very capable of big scoring.
Yeah, and it's got to happen one day, isn't it, for Ian, surely?
I'm not too sure.
Dominant. He does really well on the floor, doesn't he?
He's shown remarkable consistency on the floor over the last few years, but on TV, his performances just aren't up to it, and I think he's in danger of relinquishing his spot in the top 16, so I think it's going to be very tough for him. He's got a tough game there against Gary Anderson, who I would expect to win.
Few specials.
Go on.
Why not?
9 dart finish in the tournament.
Oh, hello.
Not been many, is there? The
Difficult.
double start.
Yeah, so how many can you get, Josh, with a double start? Oh, no, we're not there yet.
Thank you.
5-1 if you think there's going to be a 9 dart finish.
Okay.
9-1 on if you think there will not be. 4-1, no 170. Check out the big fish.
Interesting. I think there'll be a 170.
Yeah, so 7-1 on if you think that. Not a great deal of value there. And Price and Van Gerwen to win their quarters, and Anderson to reach the quarters, 12-1.
Good value that, I think, actually.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Okay, well, there's some odds for you for the upcoming World Grand Prix, sponsored by Boyle Sports. Josh, where can people watch the World Grand Prix?
You can watch it live on Sky Sports over the full 7 days, and I will be blogging and maybe doing the odd report on it. So please join us for the coverage.
Excellent stuff. Look out for Josh's reporting on that. Neil, while we've got you in odds mode, shall we have a quick look at the Worlds? I mean, to be honest, we're not that far away now. I mean, October's here, or almost here. Only a couple of months to go, Josh.
Looking forward to it, and hopefully, like I say, presuming nothing goes wrong over the next couple of months, with a full crowd back in attendance at Ali Pali, because that's what we all want to see.
Absolutely. Right, Neil, what you got for us Worlds-wise?
So, again, with Sky Bet, I'm interested, Josh, as to why you think this will be the case. Michael Van Gerwen is 4-1 favourite, and Gerwin Price 5-1 favourite. Do you think it's because they expect that he will come back into form, or something to do with the format?
Oh, I'm not too sure, because Gerwin is the defending champion, so I'm a little bit surprised by that. But as you mentioned, he's won in Copenhagen. I'd be interested to see whether he was 4-1 favourite before the Nordic Masters or not.
Yeah,
that could have maybe changed things. But
Sky Bet are boosting Gerwin Price, as I say, he's 5-1, but you can get him boosted to 6-1. So I think a very healthy price for Gerwin. But Michael Van Gerwen,
a very healthy price for Gerwin. Sorry,
very good pun, Neil.
I couldn't let that slip. Sorry.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Peter Wright, 11-2. So Sky Bet not differentiating too much again between the big three, and then a bit further down it's Vandenberg 9-1, De Sousa 10-1, Johnny Clayton 14-1, Aspinall 20-1, and Gary Anderson 25s.
Any price for Fallon to shock the world? I mean, she shocked the world last time out pretty much anyway, but any price for Fallon?
They might not offer one purely because she's not yet 100%
qualified. 400-1.
Oh, she is there. She has been quoted.
400-1.
There we go. Again, worth a quid of anyone's money, surely.
Well, you know, if she's posting 103 averages, if she can maintain that level.
Let's be honest, no one's going to want to draw her in the first round.
No, of course not.
She's a very dangerous player, and she'd have the whole crowd on her side as well, which can't be underestimated. We saw the effect of that on, I think, Mensah, particularly when she beat him.
Yeah.
And Ted
Everts, yeah.
So he's also 400-1, and then right at the bottom, we've got Dieter Hedman, John Part, Lisa Ashton, Makuri Suzuki and the legend Paul Lim, all 1,000 to 1.
Go on, Paul.
Well, John Parr, I don't imagine he'll be in it unless he.
Yeah, I guess this is reflected.
And same with Dieter and Makuru.
In the size of the odds. Just having a look for Glenn Durrant, and he is 150 to 1 for the Worlds.
Okay, there we go. Neil, have you got anything else for us odds-wise?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cool, what are the odds?
Hello everybody, I'm Glenn Durrant and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
You're listening to Josh's Dartistry. Don't forget, you can check us out on Facebook by going to the Josh's Dartistry page. You can follow us on Twitter at Josh's Dartistry or go to the website www.joshisdartistry.com for the latest news and insight to the world of darts. You can also leave us a comment or a question via our voicemail box. Just call 07739 738 329. Leave us a message and we may play it on air. Now back to the show.
This is Martin Adams, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Okay, welcome back to the show. As I glance to my right-hand side, I note that Josh Gorton has pulled out an A4 pad.
The pad,
and a pen. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Challenge Josh.
Challenge Josh.
Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time of the show when we test Josh on all things darts. Please, pray silence as I hand you over to resident quizmaster, Mr. Neil Connor.
Thank you, John. Josh, you're smiling.
No, I'm not smiling.
It looks like a nervous smile.
He's smiling because Spurs are just about 2-1 up against probably one of the worst European teams I've ever seen, but they're having a go at us. So I think Josh is quite enjoying Spurs struggling on a Thursday night.
I was just thinking that, lockdown did have its benefits, and Challenge Josh and not being in the same room was one.
So I did discuss this with John yesterday.
Yes.
We were tempted to throw in a curveball.
Yes.
Okay.
And we thought about the first 3 games of Arsenal's season.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A special.
Pass.
An Arsenal special.
But we decided against that.
We did decide against
and
it.
what we did, we wanted to go something very topical, a bit of feel-good factor about it. So we've gone...
Oh, hang on. Whoa. Any guesses?
Topical. Hendo?
Jordan Henderson.
This is a darts podcast.
Big John Henderson.
Big John Henderson. 15 questions. I reckon you'll do all right.
I hope so. I hope to honour John.
The problem with doing the questions on the subject matter of the interview, Neil, sometimes he's had an opportunity to do some research before he's carried out the interview. That's the only thing that worries me.
But he might not have researched a couple of
He might not have researched what you've researched. Because as we know, you like to go to the darkest depths with some of your questions. Okay, Josh, are you ready? You got pen and paper in hand?
I am indeed.
It's good to have him in the room, actually, Neil, because now we can see he's only got pen and paper. He's not got his Google out. Or like when we were having the old Zoom conversations. Right, I'm going to cue up the sound effects. Let's hand over to Neil Connor for question number 1.
As always, we'll start nice and gentle. Can you tell me how old is John Henderson? Oh, is that a clasping?
That is a flinch.
Clenching of the teeth.
A flinch for question 1. You might have done him already here. Surely that came up in your research for the interview. That's the first thing. That is journalism school 101. Surely, if you're interviewing someone, find out how old they are.
You don't really. Hello, John. How are you? How old are you, mate?
No, but you know.
I was so convinced you would know this that I was going to ask for his birth date.
Followed by his shoe size.
I think I'm pretty sure I know what year he was born, but it's whether he was...
Well, you got a 50-50 chance.
chance.
Well, assuming you got the year right.
I think it was 1973.
Are you looking for bang on the button, or are you giving him a year either side?
No, I'm looking for
bang on the button. Okay, bang on the button.
I'm pretty sure it was 1973. So I'm banking on the fact that he's had his birthday. I'm going to say 48.
That is correct. Starts off with a correct answer, but you definitely had him on the ropes for 20 seconds there, Neil.
Could be a long show if this carries on.
Could be, yeah.
Question 2. This is an easy one. What is John Henderson's walk-on song?
Oh, it's Rockin' All Over the World by Status Quo.
Again, impressive, but I'm more impressed not that he got the name of the song, because it's quite well known. The band, he struggles on the band sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not a music aficionado.
Do you know when that was originally rreleased? You might know this, John. Question to both of you.
Rocking all over the world.
I wouldn't have a clue about that.
I'm going to have a cheeky little stab at 1986.
It reached number 3 in 1977.
Did it really? I didn't realise it was a 70s song.
Do you know the name of Status Quo's only number 1?
Yep.
What is it?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it was In the Army.
Nope.
Oh man, Anniversary Waltz.
Nope.
The Wanderer.
Nope.
No Particular Place to Go.
Nope.
Sweet Caroline.
Nope.
Down Down.
It was Down Down.
Come on, I got there eventually.
One of them, I can't remember who it was, whether it was Rick Parfitt or Francis Rossi, said was one of the worst songs they ever made.
But it's funny you say that, because Down Down is one of the songs in the Roundabout Zoo set that we do. In actual fact, I think I've got a gig this Saturday night. I think we're opening with Down Down. So
Status Quo's only number 1 hit.
There we go. Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought it? Not just darts chat on this podcast, Josh. We cover all bases. A bit of musical knowledge as well.
Indeed, catering for everyone.
Okay, Neil. Question number 3. Here we go.
In which Scottish city did Henderson make his Premier League debut in 2019?
Aberdeen.
Yes, of course it was. That famous night in Aberdeen. And I don't think any of us have ever seen a better performance on the bagpipes that night, Josh. Sensational.
Absolutely brilliant. My favourite ever walk-on, I think. That has to be.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to question number 4.
Still very gentle, nice and easily. Who did he play in that game and what was the score?
Michael van Gerwen. It was 6-all.
One of the performances from the contenders that didn't end in an absolute disgraceful
here we go. Don't get John on the contenders again.
Well, let's have it right. Most of them lost. But yes, of course, famously snatched a draw, didn't he, against Michael van Gerwen, and absolutely brought the house down in Aberdeen. Neil, where are we? Question number 5?
Question number 5. He's 4 for 4 at the moment. So staying on the theme of John Henderson and Michael van Gerwen, which tournament in 2015 did Henderson narrowly miss out on, which would have been his first PDC title when he finished runner-up to Van Gerwen in 2015?
Good one, that. Yeah, that flummoxed me. I know it was a European tour.
Hello.
It was a European tour event. He lost 6-5. Yeah, I'm not sure. It could be anyone.
Oh, let's stop the background music while Josh ponders. There's a blank expression.
I'll be very surprised if I get this.
The hand is tucked inside the collar, a sort of nervous fidget.
Yeah, but I think some of this is all an act.
Do you think it's bluster? Yeah, bluster.
You sit here for a minute.
Yeah, and then he pulls
it's not. Honestly, I don't even know.
To the Prime Minister.
Hello, we've gone political all of a sudden.
You can't.
Neil, thoughts on Brexit? Go.
I think we should stay well clear of
anything. Absolutely.
Politics.
Spurs are 3-1 up, if anyone's wondering. Josh, wow.
Yeah, it's a European tour, but it could be anyone.
Could you, for the benefit of the listeners, Neil, and for myself, could you just repeat the question for me, please?
Yep. In which tournament did John Henderson narrowly miss out on winning his first PDC title by finishing runner-up to Michael van Gerwen in 2015? So Henderson was runner-up. He lost to Van Gerwen. It was 6-5. What was the tournament?
I'm just going to have a complete guess. European Grand Prix.
That is incorrect. 5 questions in, and you have tucked him up already, Neil.
I have indeed. It was the German Darts Masters.
German Darts Masters.
The problem is there's about 20 German Darts Trophy. It could have been anyone.
I must admit, when we listened back to the interview earlier, I did wonder why you didn't ask him about his German Darts Masters win. I thought that would have naturally come up in conversation, would it not?
It is actually mentioned on the PDC website.
There we go. Okay, so we definitely know it's not going to be a clean sweep for Josh
That's
this
an
week.
early.
That is normally it doesn't. No, yeah. For question 5, that is early. It normally gets to about 12:30. It was not for someone who's just interviewed him. Let's move on to question number 6, Neil.
By winning the World Cup of Darts, what competition did Scotland's victory meant Henderson qualified for later this year?
The Grand Slam of Darts?
Yeah, of course, qualification for the Grand Slam of Darts. When is the Grand Slam, Josh? And I'm throwing you a grenade there, asking you to pull that off the top of your head. When is the Grand Slam?
It is early November, I think the second week of November in Aldersley Leisure Village in Wolverhampton.
There we go, Grand Slam of Darts. Okay, Neil, he's got that one right. He's picked himself up, dusted himself off, and got that one right. So let's have question number 7.
So, like John Henderson, 2 other players qualified for the Grand Slam of Darts after their performance at the World Cup. Who are they?
Oh yeah, Mensur Suljovic and Roby John Rodriguez.
Mensur Suljovic and Roby John Rodriguez. Played very well, Josh, as we alluded to earlier, and it obviously means that not only do they get the plaudits for their performance in the tournament, but it now counts for things going forward, doesn't it?
Of course, and also the Grand Slam is now a ranking event, so they can also get valuable prize money for the Order of Merit. So we know Roby John's not got a tour card, so really important for him to get on there as well.
Yeah, well worth winning. Let's move on to question number 8.
So Henderson, Big John, he is qualified for the 2021 Grand Slam. When was the last time he qualified for that tournament?
A shake of the head and a sharp exhalation.
Actually stared me out there.
Did he? He's getting a bit aggressive in here. You can cut the tension with a knife in here.
That's a nasty question.
Oh, nasty. He's gone with nasty.
Not a clue. He played it years ago, and I'm talking years.
Josh has not got a single clue.
The great thing is the next question's related to this as well, so if he doesn't know this,
it's going to be an extension. Josh, you've already got 1 wrong this evening. You can't get 2 wrong, surely. What are they going to say in the office when you pitch? I was going to say tomorrow morning, but we all know you don't start work till about 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, that is your glass house had just shattered there, John. Now they'll probably say that was a very hard question. That was.
Neil, can you reread the question for me, please?
When was the last time that John Henderson qualified for the Grand Slam of Darts?
I know he has definitely been in it, so I know it's not a trick question. I'm going to have a stab in the dark, complete stab in the dark, and say 2009.
Incorrect. Neil, when was it?
2010.
Oh, he was 12 months off. But unfortunately, Josh, that's wrong.
I think there's a little bit of like ring rust.
It's been a while.
Hockey rust.
This could be the worst performance of in the history of Challenge, Josh, I think.
No, that was 7. I've got 7. I should. Well, I'm only on 6 actually.
Well, the worst performance ever is 7. So what? So you got 8 wrong?
Maybe not actually.
No, you've never got 8 wrong.
I did fail to get double figures once though.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, could be twice.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Neil, let's have question number 9.
What was controversial about his match that year when he was defeated by Mervyn King?
See, I do remember him playing. That's the tournament I was thinking of. We played Mervyn. Mervyn King was...
What, in 2009 or 2010?
Very funny. I knew... Well, it's a long time ago. I knew it was a long time ago. I think Mervyn King was complaining. I think he didn't really shake hands with John afterwards. He was complaining that he was saying that John was stamping as he was walking past him on the hockey, but...
He's stamping.
But I don't...
Like, just to describe the scene, Neil is in raptures at the moment. Stamp it. He was stamping on the stage, was he? I don't know.
Not stamping, but
Right.
you know, as he's retrieving his darts,
Yeah.
it's quite a common thing, gamesmanship. Which
Right.
We're not accusing John of doing.
No, of course.
Yeah, so Mervyn wasn't too happy with John after the game. I'm not sure there was a handshake. I remember John went to shake Mervyn's hand. Mervyn just gave him a look, said a few choice words, and John looked perplexed. I think it was something to do with the fact that Mervyn seemed to be complaining that when John was retrieving his darts, that he thought he was stamping me, walking past him to try and put him off. But
Right. So that's what you're going with.
that's what I'm going with.
The
unless
controversial element of the game was there was a bit of needle because John was stamping on the stage.
Well, that's what Mervyn
allegedly.
alleged, yes.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
God, that was a mouthful. I'm looking for a signal from my co-host. Is that right or wrong? Oh, hang on. We've got a yes and no. So I'm going to give you one of them, but also one of them. Are we giving him the point, Neil?
So my explanation is that Henderson was accused by King of standing in front of the hockey. However, after watching the match again, King did admit that he did overreact and apologise. So
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think Josh's answer is fair enough. There was some argy-bargy. I mean, you asked what was controversial, right? He could have
from
said
2010.
He could have,
Come on,
and he could
man.
have said anything. He could have said, there was accusations of, all sorts of things. I don't even want to go down specifics, but I think, the fact that Josh said there was some argy-bargy on stage about movement on stage. Me personally, I would give it to him, but it's down to you.
personally, I'd like to review the video footage.
Have we got VAR?
It's probably on YouTube somewhere.
Have we got VAR?
Okay, we'll give him the point, and then we'll have a look at the video footage a bit later.
Okay, so that is correct. He's got 2 wrong out of 9 so far. Let's move on to question number 10.
In which year did John Henderson play his first PDC match?
Again, probably should have come up in the research for the interview, I would imagine. But
2011?
Is that your final answer?
Ah.
Oh, well, why don't you just take the final answer? Why have you given him a get out?
I could be bluffing.
Could be bluffing. I like what you're doing there. You're messing with his head, actually. Good.
Do you mean when he was a...
No, the question is clear. When did he play his first PDC match?
No trick questions.
We don't do that here.
Not yet, anyway. Wait till question 14.
2010?
That is incorrect. Please don't tell me that he's changed his answer to the wrong answer.
He played his first PDC match in 2003. He played one tournament in Scotland and then featured in the UK Open before I think he qualified for the BDO World Championship.
Okay, yeah.
Wow. I mean, you weren't just a little bit wrong. You were massively wrong.
I knew he joined the PDC in 2011, and I knew obviously he played the Grand Slam in 2010, but no, I must admit I didn't study his UK Open run 19 years ago.
The satisfaction I'm... bit of needle there. A little bit of needle, bit sarky. The satisfaction I'm getting from looking at Josh's piece of paper and seeing 3 X's so far on his piece of paper, I'm really enjoying that. Josh, 3 wrong, and you've still potentially got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions to go that you could also get wrong. This could be horrendous.
I'm aiming for double figures. That's my aim.
This could be horrendous. Neil, let's move on to question number 11.
So I believe he's already made an attempt to answer this, but in which year did Big John secure his PDC tour card at Q School?
2011.
Yep, 2011, 10 years ago. So got that one right, Neil. Let's move on to question number 12.
What is John Henderson's best performance in a PDC ranking event? As in...
A major, or...
Yeah.
In a major, it's the World Grand Prix semi-finals.
Which year?
2017.
What was the score? What was the venue?
Dublin, double in, double out in Dublin.
What colour shirt was he wearing?
Oh, good.
No, I'm joking.
Do you know he beat on the way to that?
Oh, I did think. Is this another question?
No,
or is
no,
this
no.
The route to the final, please, before I award the full. But no, that is.
No, it was a semi-final.
That's correct. Route to the semi-final. My apologies. Yeah, that is correct. Well done, Josh. That means you are on to question number 13.
Before we go there, just to finish that off, he beat Michael van Gerwen.
Yep, I know that, and I know you. Yep, and I'm not sure he beat in the second round, but yep, I know he beat Raymond van Barneveld in the quarterfinals. Thank you.
So it was Michael van Gerwen, Alan Norris, Raymond van Barneveld, and he lost.
Come on, it's been months. We got to have a bit of this.
And this was the reason I wanted the question in. And then he eventually lost to
Darryl Gurney,
who was the winner of the tournament. He lost to Gurney 4-1.
When you said this was going to be a John Henderson quiz, I knew this question was going to come up. But I thought, at least give me a point for having said it. I don't even get a point to... Oh, dear.
Okay, let's move on. Unlucky for some and hopefully unlucky for Josh. Question number 13.
After winning the World Cup of Darts, Henderson claimed he wouldn't be changed by the success. Where would he visit twice a week with his mum still?
Where would he visit twice a week with his mum still? Well, the question begs, do you know where they used to go prior to his win twice a week? Not coming up in the interview, no, and the sort of the outtakes that ended up on the cutting room floor didn't discuss that, no?
No. Well, where would he...
Yeah, we're falling asleep here, waiting for Josh's answer.
I'm just trying to think logistically.
So he helps his mum.
Right.
Where do you think they go?
The shops.
I'm gonna.
Okay, so
is that your
can
answer?
you expand on that?
Oh, hello.
You want the specific supermarket, do you?
Actually, no. I think it's Lidl. They go to Aldi's twice a week.
Co-op. No, this was quite a big interview that he did, where he was very specific about which shop it was.
I must have missed that. The interview.
Nice to hear it wherever it is. I'm sure it is something like shops or that. Nice to hear him remaining humble, of course.
Exactly.
And not letting it change him. But yeah, Josh, we do need a specific answer from you. This is question 13. You've already got 1, 2, 3 wrong. This could be the fourth one. So
well, supermarket.
You're just going to go with supermarket? Is that
no, but no. I've got to be specific. If this is bingo, so I'm completely.
It's going to be Sainsbury's on the Seven Sisters Road.
Seven Sisters.
Well, no, it's probably in
This was a headline in a local paper.
Okay.
I did my research.
In a local paper? You mean in Scotland?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't bought it, have I?
So I don't know the answer, but can I hazard a guess?
I was going to guess Tesco's.
Okay.
You're going to go Tesco's? I would say, take it to the bingo. Tesco's? I thought you were giving me the thumbs up for bingo.
No, it's Tesco. There was a lot of faff to get to the right answer.
There was a lot of faff to get to the right answer. I'm not overly impressed with you mentioning Tesco's. I mean, they don't sponsor us. They've not put any money our way for us to include their name in the show.
Yeah, but every little helps, John.
You're an idiot, but I like it. Tesco is the correct answer. Well done. Let's move on to question number 14.
Okay. Films by which star did Henderson admit he likes to watch when he gets motivated for his matches whilst travelling?
What
films by which star, who's been in many blockbuster movies, did John admit he likes to watch when he wants to get motivated for his matches when he's travelling?
I do not have a Scooby-Doo.
I'm not going to lie. This is probably up there with what is Raymond van Barneveld's shoe size?
This is
very niche. Very niche. Yeah. But I like it. I like it.
It's another, it's another
I'm not
interview that he's
criticising.
done.
Not criticising
This
at all.
is on.
I am.
This one's come from dartsnews.com.
Okay. Shout out to the boys and girls over at dartsnews.com.
Yeah, I know most of those lads. I'm going to complain about that article because that's going to stuff me up here. I don't have. My film knowledge is appalling, to be quite honest, and the fact that I haven't.
Think motivational music.
Well, I was going to say he's giving you a clue. It's someone who's been in a number of blockbuster movies. So we're not talking about some.
What about Rocky?
B actor. We're talking about
Rocky.
Okay. So and who played Rocky? Because we're looking for the name of the actor. Are you joking me? You don't know who played Rocky?
It's still
wow.
Is it
wow.
Sylvester Stallone?
He pulled that out of the bag late on, didn't he? Oh my God. That is correct. Sylvester Stallone is the answer. And must enjoy watching the Rocky films, Neil.
Yep. So as reported by dartsnews.com, he loves a bit of Stallone. Direct quotes from their website. I love a wee bit of Stallone, I have to say that. I like to have a practice, have a good throw, then take a break and watch Rambo or Rocky. I can watch them over and over again, never get bored of them. It definitely gets me ready in a good way to play on stage. I think it's the passion of it all.
What film was this from?
Rocky.
Which one?
3.
Do you know, I'm not going to lie, I don't know. I think it was Rocky 2, actually, but I don't know. I just thought I'd try and ask a question. It might have been the first one. Anyway, yes, that is correct, Josh. Well done. Let's move on. We've got one more question to go now, yeah?
Yeah, how many has he got?
He's got 1, 2, 3 wrong. 11 out of 14 so far. Have you kept a?
Feels worse.
Have you kept a hand grenade in your back pocket?
I think as long as he's knowledge of the Scottish Parliament.
Good God.
Who did John vote for in 2012? Right, here we go. Last question. Question 15. Challenge Josh.
Henderson was recognised in the Scottish Parliament after his World Cup of Darts victory.
Oh, was it? I didn't know that.
The motion that was put forward states that this House congratulates John Henderson of Huntly, Aberdeenshire, on winning the PDC 2021 World Cup of Darts for Scotland with Peter Wright. Notes that this is the second time in 3 years Scotland have won the title, commiserates with Austria, the defeated finalists this time, and wishes John and his many supporters many more victories in future. Did you know about that?
No.
Okay, can you name...
I mean, normally the music runs out when Josh is having a think.
This is an essay.
The music doesn't normally run out for the question.
I thought that was really interesting.
All right, go on, carry on.
Can you name the Scottish MP that put forward and tabled that motion?
That is utterly ludicrous.
Hang on, you just had the cheek to say to me you didn't have a hand grenade in your back pocket. That's the very definition.
I thought he would know this.
There's only about 2 that I know. And I doubt it'll be either of the ones I'm thinking of.
Oh my goodness me. I mean, you could have a stab, couldn't you? But
there's one I'd love it to be.
Who'd you love it to be?
Ian Blackford.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, you never know. It could be.
No,
although he's not a member of the Scottish Parliament, is he? I think
well, he's the London
he's the representative, isn't he? He's in the UK Parliament.
Well, I'd imagine that Nicola Sturgeon's probably got more pressing issues to concern herself with.
Really? Okay. Well, I mean, we mentioned earlier we weren't going to talk about politics, but we seem to have gone down a bit of a political avenue there.
Don't really.
This was unavoidable.
I don't really want to repeat the question.
No, I don't want you to. Who tabled the motion? Is basically.
I've got absolutely no idea.
So you want to take?
Well, you got to have a guess, surely.
Yeah,
you can throw a name out.
I'm going to say Ian Blackford.
You're going to go Ian Black. I'm going to go Nicola Sturgeon.
Okay, it was the Scottish Conservative for Aberdeenshire West, which makes sense. Alexander Burnett.
That means it is incorrect. That's one of the harshest questions you have ever asked on this segment.
I did my research. I found out some. Again, I think it's great that their victory is being discussed in the Scottish Parliament.
Absolutely. I just think for a question for Challenge Josh, it's an absolute carve up. But that doesn't bother me in the slightest. So, Josh, looking at your pad, 1, 2, 3, 4 wrong.
Yeah, there's a couple there I was a bit disappointed with. The 2003 UK Open one. Maybe I should have maybe thought the UK Open one.
That was a trick question. That was one where I was like,
Yeah, but I mean, that's quite common that a lot of BDO players qualify for the UK Open, so I should have really been more alert. There's another one that I should have possibly got, but a couple I got wrong. I can't really blame myself too much because they were very difficult.
Well, 4 wrong.
I have to say, that was one of my favourite challenge Josh's to do the research for.
Yeah, it was good. Well done, Neil. Well done.
So with a bang.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, not me. But
no, definitely not you. We definitely outfoxed him there, Neil. 4 wrong out of 15. Josh finishes Challenge Josh this week with a score of 11 out of 15. And we look forward to the next instalment of Challenge Josh.
Challenge Josh.
Dan Dawson, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
You're listening to Josh's Dartistry. Don't forget, you can check us out on Facebook by going to the Josh's Dartistry page. You can follow us on Twitter at Josh's Dartistry, or go to the website www.joshisdartistry.com for all the latest news and insight into the world of darts. You can also leave us a comment or a question via our voicemail box. Just call 07739 738 329 and leave us a message, and we may play it live on air. Now back to the show.
This is Danny Baggish, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Okay then, welcome back. It's now time to take a look at some of the darting news stories. This is In the News.
In the news.
Okay, Josh, it would be remiss of us not to discuss, well, sad news really, obviously. We've not met or chatted really or released a show since the very sad passing of Kyle Anderson back in August.
Yeah, tragic news, shocking news really that emerged last month, as you say, John, that Kyle passed away at the age of just 33. I mean, we know he suffered with long COVID last year, and he relinquished his PDC tour card. He wanted to spend some time with his family back home in Australia, which he was doing. And the news came through. I think it was a shock to everyone, really. And but I think it just shows in what regard he was held. I think the outpouring of emotion and sadness from everyone in the darting world. He was a fantastic player, Carl, but above all, he was a great character as well. I think nobody had a bad word to say about him. He gave up so much. He sacrificed so much to, moving over to England to pursue his darting dream and provide for his family, which he did.
Sure.
He was a family man. That's why he took the decision to move back to Australia and move back with his family, because he had two young children. So so sad that he leaves two young children and his wife behind. And it was very emotional at the World Cup. We saw Simon Whitlock and Damon Heta. Damon Heta's a lifelong friend of Carl's. They went to school together. Simon played with Carl at the World Cup previously, and they were both had his initials, I think, Kyle Anderson's name on their sleeves.
Yeah.
They were doing it for Carl. So it's dreadfully sad. I think his funeral was earlier this week, and it leaves a massive void. It's a huge loss.
Neil, we discussed Carl on previous shows during lockdown when we were recording via Zoom. We discussed, I think he fell victim to COVID, didn't he, and had some health problems and had been away from the game for some time, and for him to sort of not make that big return that we were all looking forward to. It's very, very sad news.
It's awful news. A young man, a very talented young man as well, and it's shocking news for the world of darts, and our thoughts and best wishes are with Carl's family.
I think I speak for all of us when I echo Neil's sentiments and Josh's, of course, that we send our regards to Carl's friends and family, and yes, of course, he'll be a big loss to the world of darts. I just, funnily enough, I was reading an article this morning about Simon Whitlock. I don't know if you've seen this. He plays regularly in the Portsmouth Darts League.
Plays a lot of local league stuff.
Yeah, just to sort of keep himself fresh. And en route to winning the league, he hit a 9-dart finish, defeating Andy Jenkins. Simon Whitlock, not only playing in the sort of local leagues and that, but hitting 9 darters. I bet whoever he's playing against must think, oh, blimey, I'm playing up against a PDC professional here who's got the ability to hit a 9-darter in the Dog and Duck pub.
I know, it's the equivalent. Imagine one of us turn up to a local tournament. You've run into one of the best players in the world.
Could do in the UK Open, which we're going to enter you for, Josh.
I walked into that one, didn't I? But no, Simon's not going to be at the World Grand Prix. Just missed out, even though he got to the semi-finals in Gibraltar last weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when Simon was having a real downward spiral a couple of years ago, he went back to the local leagues to get that winning feeling back. It sounds obvious, but he learnt how to win again, and he had a bit of a renaissance. And I just wonder whether that might be a formula for some other players, perhaps even someone like a Glenn Durrant, perhaps, in local leagues, darts is very strong in the North East. You've got a real conveyor belt of talent emerging through there. So, credit to Simon. He's keeping his arm fresh. He's he's staying match ready, match sharp ahead of a busy few months. And a 9 darter is always great, isn't it? Although not for his opponent.
Yeah, Neil, after reaching the semi-finals of the Gibraltar Darts Trophy the past weekend, he then rocks up and throws in a 9 darter at his local league. If you were a professional sportsman, Neil, say your tennis career took off and you did a Raducanu and won the US Open, do you think the following week you'd be back down Berkeley Park having a knock-up with Josh Gorton and Peter Wright?
I'd like to think that I would.
Yeah. But you wouldn't.
No, I think I would, because again, it would be good to remind them that I was better than them.
Yeah, and you went on to better things, of course.
Exactly. But no, I think it's good. Again, the mental aspect of sport, and he might, as I think Josh mentioned, he might gain confidence from going to his local league and walloping someone with a 9 dart. I just think it's a great story. Our old local boozer that we used to enjoy. They used to have darts league matches.
Yes, they did.
We used to spend most of the time with the French stick and the cheese and onion at the bar. That was the attraction for me of the local darts league. But imagine turning up.
I know, it's mad, isn't it?
1 facing Simon Whitlock and 2 getting wiped out by a 9 darter. But yeah, good for him. Shows that it's not beneath him, and he's willing to do what he needs to do to get his game on track and ready for the big events.
Yeah, important to stay in touch.
Absolutely, and like I say, who knows? We'll see Simon's results over the next couple of months. He's got a big end to the year because he's dropped out the top 16 again over the last few months. So full credit to Simon. He just loves the sport, and it's great to see.
Okay, that was your news stories in the news.
News.
This is Devin Peterson and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Okay, we are nearly at the end of the show, but before we go, it's time for a little bit of a Q&A, your questions coming in on social media. This is Josh's Twitter chatter. Okay, yes, your questions have been coming in on social media. Thank you for those. Don't forget you can contact us, particularly on Twitter at Josh's Dartistry or on Facebook on the Josh's Dartistry Facebook page. Josh, I believe the first question that has come in from friend of the show, Mr. Oki Balboa, regarding the European Championships.
Yeah, it has indeed, and Oki has come straight in. Thanks for the question, Oki. He has asked, do you think that the lack of Euro tours have made a mockery of what the field is for the European Championship?
Mm-hmm. What are you thinking?
Listen, there's been a lot of debate, a lot of conjecture on social media about it, because there's only been 2 European Tour events this year due to the COVID pandemic. There was meant to be a third later on, but that's now been cancelled. There's 2 European Tour events that have contributed to the European Championship because the field is decided by basically the top 32 on the European Tour Order of Merit. There's only been 2 events, but also there's been a lot of situations where players are tied in terms of money.
Sure.
Because there's only been 2 events. And it goes on countback. So those who competed in Hungary in the first event are at a massive disadvantage, because if they've got the same amount of prize money as those who competed in Gibraltar, those who competed in Gibraltar are ahead of them on the order of merit. So a lot of players, about 5 or 6 players, have missed out purely on the countback rule.
Yeah.
But also, because you don't get prize money just for being a seed, you have to win a match first. We've had a lot of big names who've missed out on qualification. So there's no Johnny Clayton.
Right.
Daryl Gurney, I think he beat Van der Vault in Hungary, lost to Van Gurney with 101 average in round 2, and he's missed out. So Dave Chisnell's not there.
Yeah.
Ian White's not there. Dimitri van den Berg's not there. Gary Anderson's not there, but that's no surprise because he never plays in the Euro Tours anyway. There's a couple of others. I think Devon Peterson might have missed out as well.
Right.
Let me just looking through the list. There's Stephen Bunting as well. And there's a lot of players who don't even have PDC Tour cards who've won 1 or 2 matches, who've made it. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to have a quick look now. I've got the draw for the European Championship here because it was determined after the European Tour event in Gibraltar. And like I say, you've got a lot of unknown quantities. You've got Adam Smith-Neal, who's not a PDC Tour card holder. He's in it. He's got James Wade in the first round.
But a good player nonetheless.
A good player nonetheless, yeah, of course. And listen, it's great. We've got the likes of Keane Barry, Lewis Williams, really good young talents. It'll be great to see them play. But the field is a lot weaker than really we'd like it to be. You want to see the likes of Johnny Clayton, Gurney, Chizzy, Gary Offaly. That's his choice. He's not unfortunate. He hasn't bothered.
Could I make an argument that those names that you've mentioned there, who are not in it, we are fortunate to see them regularly on the big stage. Yeah. And every now and then, it's nice to see some of the lesser players on the big stage. Is that a valid argument, or will the darts purists argue against that?
No, I think it's a balance though, because you want to see new faces. I think we sometimes complain with the Premier League and the World Series; it can get a little bit samey. The same elite are on your screens every virtually every other week. So it is nice to see some new talent. And fair play to those who've entered the qualifiers and performed on the European tour. It's good that they've been rewarded, but you do want a tournament to have the biggest names in the world. And yes, we've got some of them. Obviously, the likes of Gerwyn Price, defending champ Peter Wright, Van Gogh, and they're all there. Yeah. But there are a lot of top players missing out, and the quality is not going to be as strong as it perhaps should be. Yeah. And I think it's a difficult one for the PDC, because what do you do logistically? You can't help with the pandemic that a lot of the events have been called off. Usually we'd have 13 European tours. Yeah. So then the order of merit, there'd be no complaints. You'd have your chances. But with only 2 events... Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know what the solution is, but it doesn't seem a particularly effective system.
Could they have rolled it into next year and just made an extended European Tour order of merit?
Potentially, but then what do you do with this year's European Championship? I think that's the argument. Whether you just... Because you just do the top 32 in the world or on the Pro Tour, because otherwise, those who've then done well on this, they might feel a little bit aggrieved that they've missed out.
Yeah, and I don't think you could postpone the tournament or not hold it this year, because obviously there's sponsors involved, there's TV coverage involved.
Of course,
I get that, but we've seen other big sporting events delayed a year because of COVID and the pandemic. So it's a nightmare.
But hopefully a one-off.
Yeah, hopefully it's not something that we're going to see again.
Well, no, I think there's planned to be, like, say, 12 or 13 European Tour events next year, as we usually have all over Europe. So that should be good, and there should be no issues next year.
I think that's my point. If you would have rolled the 2 this year onto those 12 or 13 events next year, those that have done well and could compete, they would see those, their performances contribute to possibly qualifying for the European Championship next year. I agree, sponsors and everything, it can't be cancelled, but it's another solution. Maybe not the one they've gone for, maybe not the one they want, that people would want, but don't know. Difficult.
Okay, probably not fully answered your question there and giving you a definitive answer, but there you go. That is the panel's opinion. Hopefully it's just a bit of a one-off, but it's a valid comment nonetheless. Let's move on. I've got a question here from Lexi444 on Twitter. Thanks, Lexi, for your question. Josh, Lexi's asking, will we see full houses at Ali Pali this year, or do you think people are still going to be nervous with regards to the COVID situation? Do you think we're going to see full houses at Ali Pali again this year? Have you had any sort of heads up whether there's going to be any restrictions in place, or just obviously we're following government guidelines now, aren't we, and restrictions have been lessened somewhat, but do you think we'll go back to those halcyon days of packed houses and people in fancy dress throwing beer around, and what do you reckon?
I'm optimistic. I mean, the PDC revealed, I think early this summer, that they were planning to have capacity crowds back at Ali Pali, so that is a plan, and I don't think there'll be too much reluctance, because we've seen with a lot of sporting events, we've seen football stadiums packed out now. Yeah. Well, not Man City, but most. But I think it's the same with the cricket. We've seen at Wimbledon. Obviously, we are coming though with the World Championship at Christmas time. I'm not trying to be negative, but we don't know what the situation will be like in terms of the pandemic at Christmas. Whether there will be restrictions implemented by the government.
There are seasonal aspects to this, aren't there?
Of course,
and it's possible that it will be worse by that stage.
By Christmas, yeah. I mean, obviously we hope not, but there is that danger. So we don't know. There might be some restrictions that are brought in, but at this moment in time, the plan is to have full houses at Ali Pali, which I think everyone wants, because it's a showpiece event of the darting year. It's what Christmas is all about. I absolutely love it. So I want to see a full house in there, and let's hope we can get that.
Neil, we're going to go this year. You and I, we're going to get some tickets.
We can try.
Yeah. You're a member of the PDC, aren't you?
I believe I am.
Has the pre-sale already started, or have they gone on sale already?
Yeah, and I think we spoke about it, and we said that we weren't sure, because we weren't sure what the situation would be. So we'll have to keep a lookout. I think it's very much let's wait and see, because as Josh said, all the big sporting events at the moment, they're getting capacity crowds in. I think there will be people that will be put off going, understandably. But I think there's always high demand for these tickets. So if people are allowed, I think we will see sold out venues.
Neil, if only we knew someone in the industry who could perhaps, take us in as their photographer or, their partner and get us in. We could enjoy a bit of hospitality up in the hospitality.
I've had hospitality.
You have had hospitality
it was
before.
really good.
You have had hospitality. If only we knew someone who could get us in, Josh.
If you think of anyone.
Yeah, I'll have a.
I'm really not as influential as you think I am.
Oh, hello, Josh. No free tickets from Josh again this year.
I can't even get free tickets for myself. Never mind you lot.
Let's move on. Josh, have you got any more questions? I've got one more. Have you got any more questions?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so. I've got one here that's come through from Jojo Malin on Facebook. I'm going to throw this one over to Neil because Neil's spoken in favour of this person who's the subject of this question. Rob Cross is the subject matter, Neil. Jojo's asking, will Rob Cross ever return to the form that we saw when he won his World Championship? Or there's a long pause. There's a deep thought there. I remember when Rob won it, and people were saying it was a one-hit wonder, and he'll never return to that sort of form before, and you defended him vociferously.
But he wasn't a one-hit wonder, was he? Because he followed up with some
match play in the European Championship.
Exactly. So I don't think he can be described as a one-hit wonder. He hit an unbelievable vein of form in the run-up to that World Championship. And during that World Championship, I think the semi-final with Michael van Gerwen was one of the best games you're going to see. Then he went on to win those tournaments that we spoke about, and there didn't seem to be any signs of the drop-off that would eventually come. He's got to somehow find the mental strength to get back to the levels that he was at before, competing in the top 4, I would say, in world darts. The longer it goes on, I think the harder it will become. Yeah. If I compare him to someone like Adrian Lewis.
I was going to say Adrian Lewis, yeah.
2 World Championships in a row, and has found it very, very difficult over the last few years to get anywhere near those levels. And he was another one that I thought would come back and do it. So I think the longer it goes on, the harder it will become for Rob. I do think the talent's there. I think it's in his mind that he needs to get things right if he's going to compete at the very, very top level and challenge for world championships and other majors.
It's difficult, isn't it, though, because only one person every year can win the world championships, Josh, and the list of names that have won a world championships is very, very small. Not everyone is going to achieve it, and Rob has achieved it. He's achieved it once. Now, of course, you'd love to see a world champion defend the title or win it again at some stage, but unfortunately, unless you're a Michael van Gerwen or a Phil Taylor, the likelihood of that happening is very, very small. I think maybe we're expecting a little bit too much from Rob. Maybe, is that fair?
Yeah, I think it is fair. I think he's shown signs this year that his form's improved compared to last year. I know he got relegated again from the Premier League, but his performances, his averages have been better. I still think there's a few technical issues within his game with his throw that need to be rectified. I think the biggest concern is his world ranking. He's slipped down to 11th now, having been in the top 4 for the last 2 or 3 years. He's got a lot of money to defend at the European Championship because he won it 2 years ago, so he could drop out the world's top 20. Yeah, that's a sizable decline in that space of time, but he's got age on his side. I think he's quite strong mentally. You have to be to win the world championship on debut, so I think there's certainly time for him, but it's going to be tough for him to get back to that level at the world championship because, as Neil mentioned, that was very special.
It was, but even having to defend all that money to retain his position towards the top end of the rankings adds pressure. And this is someone that turned professional 11 months before winning a world championship. That's a big adjustment in someone's life, and I thought there'd be a lull and that he would come back, but he was under the pressure to sort of defend the money that he'd earned in those big tournaments. So maybe even dropping down the rankings a little bit and being under less pressure will help him come back to something like his best form.
If you're going to win the world title, though, Josh, why not do it in your debut year, beating Phil Taylor in the final? If you're going to do it properly like that.
I mean, he's beaten, let's be honest, the 2 best players of all time, in my opinion, in terms of, Michael, in my opinion, the 2nd best of all time, and Phil Taylor the 1st. So an incredible achievement from Rob, and that'll be something that can never be taken away from him.
Will he beat Peter Wright in his opening match of the World Grand Prix, Josh?
He's got a chance. It's a short format. Best of 3 sets. If he starts firing, he can, but he's got a pretty woeful record. I'm not even sure he's won a game at the Grand Prix. I'll have to check that. He might have won 1. but he's not got a particularly good record. So I'd make Peter favourite, but yeah, don't write him off.
Okay, that's all the questions for this week. Thanks for getting in touch. That was Josh's Twitter chatter. Okay, that brings us nicely to the end of the show. Now, normally at this point, I would say, we'll be back in a couple of weeks and look forward to episode 29 of the Josh's Dartistry podcast, but I think we all know, both presenters and listeners, that probably won't be the case. But listen, we certainly won't leave it 4 months. I don't.
No,
4 or 5 months before we get back round the table. I'm entering into the winter period. Well, we're all entering into a winter period now. My work should calm down a little bit, and Josh, hopefully we can get together perhaps sometime after the Grand Prix and have a chat. And there's still some tournaments, isn't there, between now and the Worlds?
Yeah, it'd be nice to get together definitely by the end of October, because then we've got the Grand Slam, the World Series finals, Players' Championship, and then of course the Worlds. So a lot of busy period. This is the business end of the season now. If you're going to hit form as a player, this is the time to do it.
And Neil, now the old COVID regulations have dropped off a little bit, and we don't have to talk to each other via Zoom. We can come round to the studio. Here we are, and meet face to face. It'd be nice to get round the table again soon, won't it?
Yeah, it's been really enjoyable, and to think how long it's been since we've been able to do this. So I enjoyed the because I'm sat directly opposite Josh. I could see every body movement, every facial expression. And I loved it.
Yeah, if you want to see how the studio's set up, check out Josh's Twitter account. There is a photo of the studio. Anyway, gentlemen, that's episode 28 in the books. Thank you very much. And if you enjoyed the show, please spread the word if you know anyone who's into their darts. We do like to take an irreverent look at the world of darts and have a bit of fun as we go along the way. Josh, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
Josh's Dartistry.